Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Tuesday Notary Titans. My name is Jen Neitzel, and I am the creator of signingagentmarketing.com and the co-creator of Notary Business Builder and the new Notary Trust Delivery Agent certification that's launching soon, along with my colleagues, Laura Biewer and Bill Soroka. Now, as you know, Bill and Laura dutifully lead this call every week and have helped thousands of notaries over the years answer questions big and small about their business and the practice of notarization. But this week, in celebration of their new book, Beyond Loan Signings, the ultimate guide to monetizing your notary commission through specialty work, say that 3 times fast, we are shaking things up and putting Bill and Laura in the hot seat to be interviewed about their latest collaboration. Before we get started, Bill wants to make an announcement because this call today, unlike regular TNT that lasts an hour, this one's going to last about 90 minutes. And we have a special chat coming up after this interview. So Bill, you want to come up and tell us what's happening immediately after TNT today?
Yeah, absolutely. So excited to be here. We have great topics for the next 90 minutes. Please don't feel obligated to stay the entire time, but just know that you are welcome to stay the entire time. These conversations surrounding diversification, increasing services tend to go a lot longer. And we want to make sure that we're available to you for all of your questions. So we'll do 90 minutes of TNT and then using the same exact link. So you don't have to go anywhere else. We're having a screenside chat with the founder of Jurat Inc. and the Notary e-Journal, Nick Colville. He's going to come up and talk to us about not only the Notary e-Journal, give us a little bit of a demo, but some of the really cool features that he's rolling out right now with his next update. And that conversation will run probably about 30 minutes with, of course, Q&A available afterwards. If you have questions about whether you can use a notary or an electronic journal in your state, if you want to know more about the Notary e-Journal or general questions, both Laura, Nick, and I will be on that call too. So we're going to spend all afternoon here with you if you want to hang out with us. And don't worry, this is recorded. Replays will be available on YouTube shortly after.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy day, but a fun day. So we're talking about Bill and Laura's newest collaboration, their book, Beyond Loan Signings, I've got it right here. I forgot my prop. The ultimate guide to monetizing your notary commission through specialty work. And I want to start by sharing just a couple of reviews of the book, which I pulled off verified users from Amazon. And by the way, if you head over to Amazon today, Matt's going to help us by putting that link in the chat here for in just a second for that book. It's only $2.99 for the Kindle edition. That is a deal. So I was looking at their reviews, and here's some that really stood out. Bill Soroka and Laura Biewer always deliver value, and this book hits it out of the park. The timing for a book like this is perfect, and I would encourage anyone wanting to improve their notarial skills and earning potential to devour it. Terrific scripts and tips. Another one, there's nothing in this book to dislike. Wow. Laura Biewer and Bill Soroka are amazing informants and teachers. Notary side hustles have become the topic du jour lately, but the information out there lacks any depth, direction, and meaningful actionability. Beyond Loan Signings has 212 pages of in-depth, rock-solid instruction and practical application of all the side hustles I've ever heard of in the notary world, and then some. And then last review was not the last review I picked. There's a lot of them on there, but since reading this wonderful, inspiring book, I have so much more confidence to get involved in taking more jobs in the areas that I've wanted to, but just haven't been very sure about. And those, like I said, are just a few of the reviews of this best-selling 5-star reviewed guidebook. So without further ado, welcome again to this very special edition of TNT. And our first guest, Laura Biewer, would you introduce yourself to everyone?
Thank you so much, Jen. And if it's possible you don't know me, my name is Laura Biewer. I am the founder of Coach Me, Laura, and co-creator with Jen and Bill on Notary Business Builder. And, my mission is to help develop confident and competent notaries who can grow their business, right, and make money.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura. And Bill.
Yeah. Hi,
He
everyone.
doesn't possibly know you.
Well, hi, everyone. My name is Bill Soroka. Yes, I am the founder of notarycoach.com, and I'm so blessed to be able to collaborate on incredible ventures like Notary Business Builder and Advanced Notary Mastermind. We have the Certified Trust Delivery Program that Jen mentioned coming up, plus co-authoring this book with the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Laura is really just a genius in so many ways, an expert in all 50 states. She's built a business that has lasted over nearly 20 years, coming on 20 years in this. And it was such a privilege to work with her and extract some of that expertise and put that in book format, which I'm passionate about. Because I love, anytime I need to learn something, I go to a book first and then try to figure it out from there. So it's been a gift to be a part of this project and share it with you as well.
Nice. Thank you both. So I'm just going to start by diving right in and asking the hard questions, because this book is poised to affect major change in the notary industry. And I want to get into the nitty gritty of how and why that's important. But I'm going to start with Laura. Now, if you've followed me for any amount of time, you know I love to play the game Pit and Peak, which is what's the best experience and what's the worst experience, or least best experience, not necessarily worst. So Laura, you know I love that game, Pit and Peak. Bill has authored 3 other books, so he's an experienced author, but this is your first time releasing a book. What was your pit and what was your peak of writing this book?
I would say the pit was just how long it took to capture all of this information, and dealing with, all of the things that professionally it takes to put out a book. You got to have an editor, and you got to have a formatter, and you got to have a cover designer, and you got, there's so many hands involved from the time you create a manuscript forward. So that was probably the pit for me. Was just, it was like over 2 years of labor. Imagine birthing a baby, and it was like 2 years, not 9 months. So that was probably the bottom end of it. The peak for me is that because it took so long, I continued growing myself and my business. And I learned new techniques. I learned new specialties. I learned new mindset techniques. And all of that, I ended up having an opportunity to get in the book before it was put out. So every time we redid something, I was like, oh my God, I gotta do this again. But the good news is there is stuff in there that would not have been in there had we put it out a year ago. Yeah. Just so much, even in the last year, changed for me and my business, and understanding better that business end of it, that was the peak for me, because I got to get it in the book and share it with you guys.
Nice. I love that. So I think it's important for everybody on the call. You said the word specialty, and I know that is a term that you coined, specialty notary work. Can you explain the difference between general notary work, which is sort of a common phrase for it, and specialty notary work, what that means and why you defined it that way?
So general notary work, pretty much people recognize that as everything that's not a loan signing. Doesn't matter what it is, but it's not a loan signing. And I too recognized it that way when I started, because I started in loan signings back in 2004. But what I found out is that you actually, if you go from haphazardly having it across your plate, that you just happen to get a call to go to the hospital, you happen to get a call to do something, that's general. But when you target it, meaning I learn what it's about, so I get training on that, I research it, so I know who are the people that are hiring for that kind of work. I really in depth prepare myself and then market to that particular line of work. That's specialty work, right? That's when you've found what's special about it, and you use that to your advantage so that you can command higher fees.
Right. And I think that's important understanding for everybody on the call as we kind of dive into these questions, because the book is about these specialties that fall under the notary umbrella with a commission and without a commission. So, Bill, I want to go back to you for a minute. What motivated you to explore the various aspects of notary work beyond loan signings?
Well, there's a lot of motivation there. First, I don't like to have all my eggs in one basket. I've been learning the hard way in business for a long time. So even outside of a notary business, there have been times in businesses where one channel or one opportunity gets shut on me and my entire business collapses. So for the notary business, that was clear for me from the beginning. It was tougher in Arizona back when it was $2 a signature to build a business doing that. But as soon as it shifted to $10, I could start to see where I could build a business doing this. Plus, I'm here to be of service to people. And even if you just have a profile on signingagent.com, the public finds that. So I was getting calls, terrifying calls, because I didn't understand general notary work or specialty notary work at the time. It was really difficult then to find training. So that's when I knew after my first living trust appointment that was going to be something for me. That I wanted to dive into. That was something that brought me joy because I'm very feeling oriented at my appointments. So I wanted that good feeling, which is why I love first-time home buyers, right? At the loan signing appointments, the energy is vibrant. People are usually pretty excited about it. And living trust presentations or those living trust appointments gave me that same vibe. So that's when the really kind of the seeds planted. I started connecting some dots and making some things happen that way. And so it was a knowing that I was going to need to diversify my income and my services, and then finding a way to be of more service in the role I play.
Nice. Laura, I'm going to ask you the same question. What was your motivation to explore the different ways a notary can use their commission?
Well, as I said, I started in 2004 doing loan signings, and haphazardly, if something else came across, my plate, I took care of that. And I didn't give a lot of consideration to it. And then it became necessity because in 2008, my loan signing business went kaput pretty much. I wasn't getting any work and I had a mortgage to pay. So I had to start getting creative. And so for me, I went back into my journals. It's one of the things I did. And I looked to see, well, what other kinds of jobs that I happen to do here and there? And then I started to see patterns. And then I started to do the research. And I realized that loan signing business, when you get it, is good, but you can't always count on it. And for me to be in business for the long haul, and I was expecting it to be about 25 years to 30 years, I needed sustainability. I needed to know that month after month after month, I would have income coming in and it wouldn't be up and down based on, what the interest rates were or the economy was doing.
Right. So, Laura, how do you think expanding into those different areas of notary services enhances the overall entrepreneurial experience? And Bill, I'm going to ask you the same question in just a minute, too.
Well, first of all, I feel more like a business owner and less like just a notary who just notarizes documents, because there's much more that I have to know, because I handle a lot of different types of industries. My fingers go into tech industry. My fingers go into hospital world. My fingers go into legal services. So it really broadened my horizon and made me realize that I am a solopreneur or entrepreneur, and that the notary service itself was just one of the things that I did for my business. And my business is a business of service, as Bill was saying. And I found lots of different ways to fulfill that mission, to be of service. And I think that was probably the big eye-opening experience for me, is that people need notaries beyond loan signings, number one. And there are lots of ways that I could help them even without my commission.
Right. And absolutely. Yeah. And I love that getting out of the mindset of being just the notary, right, allowed you to really embrace the fact that you were an entrepreneur. Bill, like I said, same question. How do you think expanding into different areas of notary services enhances the overall experience? Or did we answer that for you?
Well, a little bit, but also, I didn't become an entrepreneur to be an order taker from other people, right? And sometimes it can feel that way, especially if you're just working with signing services or if you just got one stream of income. You're terrified to do anything that would cross that client because it's your only stream of income. So by diversifying, it gave me a peace of mind. And it did, like Laura was saying, it made me feel more like a real business owner. I was really building something here. And I think for those of us on this call that are also purpose-driven, you need something more than just answering a phone and stamping a piece of paper to keep you going at night or keep you going throughout the day. And this business can be a vehicle of purpose. It can help you serve a greater purpose. And by expanding your offerings, and really the way I look at it is this business is my canvas and I'm creating my masterpiece, and my masterpiece just continues to go on and on. I'm never done, right? So within this business, I get all these creative outlets. For my journey in particular, I was able to start out as a loan signing agent. I was able to dial that in. I found a way to nail it and scale it so I could start teaching others, which is another passion of mine. Then I was able to do YouTube. Then I was able to build an online course, which I'd always been curious about. And then I got to fulfill like one of my big life dreams was publishing a book, all under this notary umbrella. And it just keeps growing and expanding because I've been able to look at it that way. I didn't put myself in a box. Mm-hmm. I put myself in a hallway, and I keep expanding that hallway, and I adding doors, all the different things that I can do with this business. And I can't wait to see where it goes.
That's so interesting. And I think I kept thinking of something in my head, and for everybody on the call was it becomes about working on your business, not in it.
Right.
So you're not, like you said, tied down to, is my phone ringing and dinging from the signing service? Where are my jobs coming from? And I love that perspective on it. So Laura, you mentioned when you were explaining the difference between specialty notary work and general notary work and why there's a distinction there. In chapter 12 of the book, you mentioned the RIMSA method, and that kind of crossed my mind when you were giving that specialty versus general notary work explanation. Can you tell everyone what that is, the RIMSA method and that framework, and how it can help identify their own notary specialty?
Absolutely. At first I didn't even realize I had a process, but I did. And I circled back to it over and over. And each one of those letters, that acronym RIMSA, stands for research, right? So I did the research to identify, where is notarization happening outside of loan signings. I was for actually identifying within all of that, within the universe of notarizations, what do I want to work on? Because just because something needs to be notarized doesn't mean I want to work with everybody and in every environment and every kind of document, right? There are some that are just not my cup of tea. So I started to trim that down by identifying who I wanted to work with and what kinds of things really meant something to me. M was I had to make a plan. Now I identified that, and I needed to make a plan about, well, what training do I need to get? Who do I need to meet with? How am I going to approach them? Am I going to send out a postcard or an email? Am I going to go in person? Am I going to reach out through social media to figure out who they are? So it was making a plan of all the activities I may need to do for me to get into that kind of work. And then I had to schedule it. And this was like the hardest thing for me, is to get a handle around my schedule and put it on the schedule. Because if it didn't get on the schedule, it was like, yeah, I'm going to get to that. Yeah, I have to go take that class, or yeah, I have to make that call. But it didn't happen unless I actually got it onto my calendar. And then once it was scheduled, I needed to act, which means I didn't say, oh, I got a job, so I'm not going to go do this, right? I needed to honor what I put onto my calendar and act or execute. And a lot of times we know information, we know what we need to do. We just don't seem to like pull the trigger. John Assaraf, I was listening to him recently, and he said, we suffer from executitis. And I think that's so true, is that we're like, oh, wait, I got to take one more class. Wait, I've got to do one more thing. Wait, I've got to put this out first before you actually pull that trigger. And so that's what actually got things rolling for me. So those were my 5 steps.
So let's go over this one more time. We have R
for the research. And that was just to figure out who needs notarization, what kind of documents, what kind of environments, where might that happen, so that I could get a big pool of potential work that related to what I could do.
And then
I was for identifying which ones of those I either already had skills for, I wanted to get skills for, I wanted to handle those kinds of jobs. For instance, international adoptions. Yes, please. I love those assignments.
When you were saying it, when you were going through the room so the first time, and I just wanted to recap it so that make sure everybody writes this framework down because it's so important. But you said something about deciding whether or not you are going to take a job when someone calls. Do you not accept every job that comes your way?
No, I do not. It has to fit my business model. It has to fit my business model in terms of, is it the kind of work I want to do? Is it the kind of people I want to work with? Is the pay appropriate to what I have set up for my business, right? All of these things I need to determine before I say yes.
Nice. I love that. So we've got research, identify,
make a plan. So that was, what do I need in terms of marketing? What do I need in terms of training? What do I need in terms of connections? And then start laying out a plan of how I'm going to go about achieving those things. That takes me to scheduling it.
That's our S.
Scheduling, getting it on my calendar, whether it was interviews, going to places, reading books, whatever it was, I needed to have it on the calendar. Otherwise, when I was taking jobs, that would take care of today. That's working in the business, but it wouldn't take care of tomorrow, which is working on the business. And we need to be able to schedule both.
Right. And then your A is taking action.
Action, right? Action or execute.
Yeah, I love that. And I think we do have an execution problem sometimes. So thank you for that, Laura. I hope everybody was able to write that down. It's such a great framework when you're exploring the book and thinking about the specialties that are important to you, or identifying your own specialty that you might see. And it is in chapter 12 of the book, you guys. And Matt can put, if you don't mind, Matt, a link in the chat about the book. That'd be great. So Bill, I want to talk about the presentation that you and Laura and I gave at the National Notary Conference in Scottsdale a few weeks ago. Can you briefly tell me about the new and only certification for notary trust delivery agents and why it's important now?
Oh yeah, heck yeah. And I'm going to rewind just a little bit too, because I want to touch on what Laura was talking about in RIMSA too, with the scheduling and the taking action. You know, one of the traps that I had fallen into without even realizing I had fallen into it, right? I had my sacred weekend where I had to pull my head out of my rear end and really do my results inventory. But what I had learned about myself is that I was kind of flitting around from idea to idea, dipping my toe in lots of different things, but not doing the implementation part. And you probably heard the quote, you don't have an information problem, you have an execution problem. And I had an execution problem as well. I wasn't scheduling things, especially the stuff I didn't really want to do. but there was some part of me that expected someone to save me. I was expecting somebody to step in and say, I'll take care of that, or I'll block out some time for you. Let me just stop the world here for a second so you can work on your dreams. That never happens. Even with the people closest to you, you have to take responsibility for your own goals, your dreams. You have to carve that time out for you. Les Brown said, the graveyard is the richest place on earth because it's here you will find the hopes and dreams that were never fulfilled, the books that were never written, the songs that were never sung, the inventions that were never shared, the cures that were never discovered because people didn't take action on their dreams. And this is your opportunity right now. I know with the notary business, this is a microcosm of the world, but this business can be the vehicle to your purpose and your dream. So it's really important to start taking responsibility for carving that time out of your day, especially with a schedule like ours that changes minute by minute. Now, back to your question, which was what again?
I wanted to talk about the presentation.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're so excited. I mentioned earlier that I love living trust presentations. I've loved those appointments. And last year, before I moved to Washington, I was pivoting my own personal appointments to estate plan living trust presentations. Laura's been doing these for years. We've all been cultivating relationships. Jen Neitzel, if you don't know, is like the master of cultivating authentic relationships. So we came together and we are creating the world's first, as far as we know, definitely the industry's first certified notary trust delivery agent program. So you can get the skill sets that you need to not only deliver the documents, like briefly describe them, very similar to a loan signing, but you'll have that skill set. You'll know how to start an appointment. You'll know how to end an appointment. You'll know what pitfalls to look out for. On top of that, though, we're not just going to stop with the technical aspect of it, because at some point you're going to start getting that, right? But we really heavily focus on the prospecting part. How do you get more attorney clients? How do you get companies that do the estate plans across the country? We've got specific strategies, scripts, relationship building tactics, all of that included in this as well. And I think the part that also sets us apart, aside from being the only one out there to this depth for sure, is that we recruited an advisory board of attorneys, estate planning attorneys, to help us build it. So they gave us their feedback. They said, don't say this about this. We don't like it when you do that. So we've got all of that built in here. Plus some really huge bombshell industry changing tactics like the referral interview, the mutual prospecting concept, and how you can absolutely flip the dynamic of these attorney notary relationships. And you can become an actual business referring partner to these estate planning attorneys. So it's very exciting. It's coming out very soon. I'm thinking within the next week or two. It always seems to stretch out just a little bit more, but we want you to be a part of it. If you're interested in it, we'll actually give you, if you don't have Beyond Loan Signings yet, or even if you do and you want to be the first to know about this program when it comes out, go to trustdeliveryagent.com. Another courtesy of Laura Biewer. She came up with that term. She's a word coining goat. But you can go to trustdeliveryagent.com. You can get a free download of the entire chapter and workbook exercises from our book on how to be a trust delivery agent. Plus, you'll be the first to know about the certification program when it's ready.
Yeah. And, I can just, from Laura's face, your face, my face, if anybody's looking at us, you can tell we are immensely proud of this new certification and very excited, working really hard to get it out to you guys as soon as we can. So I did not, Matt, if you haven't already, would you put that in the chat, please, for us so everybody can sign up? And just like Bill said, you're going to get the chapter in the book that talks about being a trust delivery agent. And you will also be the first to know when this new certification launches. Laura, Tell me your thoughts about the new program.
Oh, I love this new program. And the reason I do is that I have been doing trust work for probably about the last 12 years. And it was a major departure from a lot of the other kinds of work I did. And what it actually was my entree into the whole legal arena, because it started there and went on to family law and to other kinds of attorney work. So I don't just do that. And to be able to communicate that. So I did something called Laura Biewer Presents, where I did a 2-hour and said, here's what they might look like, and here's where I found them. That's like a 1.0. This is 2.0. This is so much more in depth. We have the sample documents. We've got the technical aspect of it. We've got the marketing part of it. We've got the whole deal there. Yeah. We've got the resources, and we have connections. So, and not only that, Bill, did you say Notary?
I didn't even mention Notary.
Oh, he didn't even mention Notary because, that is a directory that we have that is being marketed to trust attorneys. So we are working towards that. So, I mean, it's just I can't imagine what else we can put in there to make it easy for you to dive into that particular line of business that is not reliant on anything what's going on. As a matter of fact, when the pandemic hit and we thought, dang, what's going to happen there? Of course, our loan signing business jumped, but I was doing trust work, not only loan signings, but trust work. And that was like, they would have me 7 days a week, all day long if they could, because everybody started doing their trust.
Yeah.
Because of what was happening. It used to be my clients were like one step from death, they're in their 80s. And now my clients are in their 40s. They have young children. It's a different world out there. And that's why this now is the time. Bill, did you want to add something to that about the Notary?
Yeah. So Notary is actively marketed to legal professionals for that. And as a graduate of the certification program, you'll get a listing in there. But even before that, NBB members have the premium listings on Notary, and it's already gained so much traction just in the first few months that we've launched it. Here's what's exciting about this, and this is the takeaway, I hope, for all of this, is that we take what we do for granted. We assume that everybody else who needs a notary, like attorneys who in an estate plan have 8 to 12 notarizations in a living trust, we just assume that they know that we're back here eager to serve, building a business, but they don't. And that's what I've learned talking to well over 100 attorneys, specifically one-on-one on the telephone over the last year, is they have no idea that there's this industry back here. There's people who are willing to get trained, people who are willing to help them build their business, willing to make life easier for their customers. They don't know. So our responsibility is, when we're reaching out to them, is to have an educational component. Show them what we're all about. Show them what we can do. Show them how we can transform their business, bring them more customers, make their customers more satisfied so they get more 5-star reviews. Reviews for attorneys are huge. They have entire weekend seminars on how to get more and better reviews for attorneys. And we can help them do that because we make life easier. Plus, the rise of the virtual law firm. A lot of these new attorneys, there's 35 to 40,000 of them graduating every single year. And they don't want the old staunchy, marble lobby, leather furniture, mahogany desk offices. They want to be sitting on the beach or hanging out with their family. These virtual law firms are huge. But guess what? They still need boots on the ground to do the notarization, and that's where you come in. That's where all of us come in to deliver value and help them make their dreams come true. There's a quote that says, if you help enough people get what they want, you're going to get what you want. And this is a perfect opportunity for us to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I call that karma. Yeah, because it works in a positive way too. Most people associate it with something negative. but it does work in a positive way. Laura, would you say it's fair to say that trust signings are what turned your business around from being dependent on loan signings way back in the early 2000s?
Not immediately.
Yeah.
Because it took some time to develop that. The hospital work and the trust work combined were really the two that really showed me that I didn't need loan signings at all if I didn't want to do it. So I've kept loan signings as a specialty. It's just one of mine, but it's a very small piece of my business. And I can make all the money I want doing trust work and other types of specialty work.
It's such a mind shift because we've been in this cycle of loan signings for so long that it's difficult to think about kind of jumping off that gerbil wheel and, dividing your eggs in different baskets equally. And we've learned over the years how to build trust and establish relationships with title and escrow realtors and loan officers, et cetera, people involved in the real estate world. But how do you build trust and establish professional relationships with clients in the role of a trust delivery agent now?
Well, first of all, it means that in my reaching out to them, first of all, I put myself where they are because they're comfortable in their orbit. And I put myself in there. The second thing is I'm interested in what they're about and what they're doing and what their needs are. I am not there to say, hey, I'm this great notary. I know how to do trust signings, right, for you. Instead, I'm interested in their industry. I'm interested in their goals. I'm interested in their clients. And that is what started building that, like, and trust factors, because they knew that whoever they used is going to be representing them, whether I'm at the table with that attorney or I'm doing it for the attorney. And I wanted them to feel that I was part of their team, right? Yeah. Not this third party that comes from somewhere else to stamp and sign documents, but I was part of their team, and I'm part of their team from the beginning of that. And so I think that's where that builds from, is building that authentic relationship with them. That goes beyond the service itself that I might have to provide.
Who do you work with specifically, Laura, for trust and estate plans?
As in the companies, or as in the?
Well, no, I mean, who do you market to? Who do you start to reach out to build those authentic relationships? Who's your customer?
So my customers are different, and they would be for everybody. They are attorney direct, and I've met them by being part of the Bar Association. I've met them through the chamber. I've met them through other events that are in my city. And I've met them because I notarized for somebody else, a different attorney who referred me. I have a lot of referred business amongst the attorneys because it's a small world. Yeah. And I have an office.
Me too.
Yeah, I have an office down on 13th Street, and that's where the court is. Somebody's unmuted there. And so all the attorneys' offices are down there. And so I put myself physically in an attorney's office, renting a space within it so that I was within their world. I put myself there. Now, my other clients are legal plan services. Now, not all of them hire directly the notary. Some, they just do the trust, and then it goes to the customer. And so that becomes the public, right? So I get called directly from the public because either an attorney did it, a legal plan did it, or they just downloaded it through Rocket Lawyer or LegalZoom. They had it produced by Legal Shield. They had it produced by AmeriState, one of these places. And now they've directly reached out to me so that I can help them. And that's when all of the skills and training I have really come into play, because now I have a lot more to do at that table than when I'm just sitting at the table with the attorney and he's doing all the presenting. So all of those are places where somebody's hiring me. I have on occasion, I think I can count on this hand, how many, less than 5 times, a signing service assigned me a trust, but it's so rare. Really, it's direct to the public, direct to the attorneys, direct with the legal plan services.
So you've been doing this for quite some time. Can you give us just a specific example of a complex trust situation that you've encountered?
I recently had one that I was really surprised how much was in there. So I had the normal, 6 documents that you would find in a trust. In addition to that, they didn't have 1 deed, they had 4 deeds. In addition to that, they had 2 special needs trusts for disabled children in there. And then they had 2 different assignments for corporations because they were each self-employed and they had these assignments set up for their businesses. So that was a lot of different documents beyond just the norm, right, that you would see. But all of those can be in there. Oh, and plus they had an appointment of guardian. So they had so many other documents, and those assignments for the corporations required for them to fill it out. It's one of the rare times they have to fill something out at the table regarding their minutes and, who's the secretary and how many shares and all of that. So that was a little different to just have all of that in the same trust.
Right. Right. Interesting. So Bill, I want to ask you the same question. But I want you to include with this your framework. We've had Laura describe her RIMSA framework. I want you to include your SMILE framework. How do you build trust and establish professional relationships with clients in the role of a trust delivery agent? And how does your SMILE framework help you do that?
Yeah, great question. So first, what I'll say is there's definitely a mindset shift when you're marketing to attorneys. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, I had some made up stuff in my head from when I was a kid about attorneys, right? Like it used to be the epitome of everybody wanted me to be an attorney as a kid, right? And why did they want me to be an attorney? Not because I was going to fight injustice, but because I was going to get rich as an attorney. So those mind things stayed with me well into into adulthood. So it was just an association, attorney money, attorney money, attorney money. So I kind of grew up assuming that attorneys were in it for the money. And what I have learned through this business is, while that might be true for some, just like it's true for some of us, right? It's not true for the majority, especially in estate planning. There's definitely job security in estate planning because there's so many prospective customers, like 180 million people don't have an estate plan that need one. So there's plenty, that's a big pie. But most attorneys who come into this business, they're passionate. They've got a story, something that happened to them and their family that was devastating. And now they want to save other families from having to experience that. And when you recognize that humanity, it's the great equalizer, right? It's like, I'm passionate about this too. I'm excited about this. That's what we can connect on. And that has been the best way for me to connect with the attorneys who treated me with the most respect, honored the role that I play, and were willing to pay the highest fees because we're in it for a different reason. It wasn't all about the paycheck. They weren't trying to commoditize my services, right? They're charging this and they don't care about the notary. It's a bump in the road that they have to solve. So they want to pay $70, $60 for that. Those are not the ideal customers. Those attorneys exist. Those clients exist. Those signing companies, those title companies exist. That might not be for us. But when you connect with somebody with a shared value and you're in it for the right reasons, it really can get pretty exciting there. So that's where I start. My passion and my enthusiasm and my excitement for why they are in this field in the first place. And then from there, that's just the attorney side. But if we even rolled this back a little bit, and we think about all the other customers and clients that we get, right? The people who call for general notary work from our Google business profile. Think about all the effort that we put into getting new customers. Google Business Profile. Who knew what Google Business Profile was before 2 years ago? Right? Not very many notaries. I'll tell you that as a coach across the country. But now it's part of our regular business. But you have to learn how to use it. Then you have to learn how to optimize it. And then you have to use it like every day. You got to post updates and you got to do all this stuff. Think about the website you had to develop. Think about all the courses you had to take to get good at this. Think about the networking events that you go to, cultivating relationships, the pop-ins, all this effort you go to get your phone to ring and ding. And then it finally rings and dings. You finally get a customer. You deliver amazing services. And then what? It's bye. See you next time. And you get back on the hamster wheel. And you try to make that phone ring. And then that customer who is definitely going to need your services again at some point is going to start their cycle all over again too, because you haven't exchanged information. You haven't made an agreement to stay in touch. It's just a transactional type of a business, or it has been for so long. It doesn't have to be like that. That's what's exciting. And that's where the top of mind method comes into play. And that's why we created the SMILE acronym. So SMILE is my RIMSA, right? Laura gave you her framework, RIMSA. Mine is SMILE. And I'll give you these just real quick so you can write them down. But SMILE, the S is for solve their problem. I'll tell you how we'll do that in just a second. The M is for masterfully deliver your services. The I is for ironclad button up. The L is for long-term connection strategy. And finally, the E is for expansion of the two N's, knowledge and network. And so if we have time, Jen, I'll dive in. I'll give a few points on each one of those.
Yeah. I think it's important for everybody on the call to hear that, because we do get stuck on that gerbil wheel where we feel like, and I hear this a lot as, coaching through marketing through signingagentmarketing.com. We feel like we are on that gerbil wheel frequently. And why do I feel like I'm a professional marketer and not a professional notary? And so the SMILE framework helps push past that and helps give you some tools to move past it. So yes, please share with us some points about SMILE.
The whole premise here is that your customers are going to need your services again at some point. And if they don't, they're going to know somebody who does. So you want to cultivate a relationship with them. And this is especially important if you're taking our advice and you're adding additional services to your business. If you are a mobile notary and loan signing agent, if you're an apostille agent, if you are a fingerprinting technician, field inspector, wedding officiant, all the different things that you can do under the notary umbrella, all of this becomes even more important. So if we go back to SMILE, this is extremely important because this is basic customer service. But if you are answering the phone, not answering the phone, if you're unprofessional in your first chance, your first impression, it's going to be very difficult to build a lifetime customer relationship, right? So the S is all about solving the problem. Think about the customer when they call you. Are they just sitting around on a Saturday morning going, I really should call a notary and build a relationship with them before I need them? That is not happening. They've got a problem. They've got a document that needs notarization, and they might have the document that says must sign in front of a notary, or someone said, hey, you need to sign this in front of a notary. So they got a problem. You got to solve it. So are you going to answer the phone? If you're not going to answer the phone, do you have systems in place to express the fact that you're still interested in the business, even if you can't answer the phone right now? But then if you do answer the phone, how are you answering the phone?
Yeah.
What's your tone? What words are you using? Do you sound interested in being of service? And even if you get past the greeting, Do you have a process? You know, Laura in the book, plus she's helped consult on this, but Kim Flanagan over at notaryallies.com, you want to check this out. She's got a client intake form that helps guide a conversation. So you systemize your conversation. So you answer or you ask all the right questions. This helps you demonstrate your expertise. You dig in a little bit. So it's not, you can get past their first question, which is always, how much is this going to cost me? If you follow these guidelines, you can bypass that question. You can get to the value. You can demonstrate your experience, then stack your value and ask for the sale. Ask for the appointment. Can you be of service? And if you can, get it. Set that appointment. That's what solving their problem is all about. And even though that took me 3 minutes to say, that can be done in a 45-second conversation if you have your systems refined on that.
Yeah, no, that's great information. So thank you for sharing that. And we don't mind listening to business altering frameworks like that for a few minutes. It's perfectly okay.
Well, do you want me to move to the next one? Because that was just the first one.
Well, no, I want you to go on, and I was going to say,
okay.
I want you to go on and tell us about the M.
Yeah, this is the beautiful one. And this is where Laura shines as well. This is masterful delivery of your services. You've been hired to do a job, do them expertly well. And this is where extra training is going to come in. This is having the systems and the tools that help you be more efficient. In fact, we've got Nick Colville coming on at 1:30 to talk about his Notary e-journal that can help you be more efficient in these appointments. This is having the right pens. This is having everything that you need to be an expert. But then also, this is about you being the professional, emotional intelligence, being interested in other people, being interesting when they ask you questions, and kind of setting up the appointment to have a potential to last beyond one single transaction. And I think we have somebody unmuted. If somebody could go on mute patrol on that for me. The way I like to end every appointment with somebody that I want to stay in touch with is, thank you for making this enjoyable for me too. I love to stay in touch. Do you mind if I send you a thank you card and an occasional email? And nobody has ever said no to that. And that brings me to your ironclad button up. Now, this is what you do after every single appointment. And I highly recommend that you have a ritual that you do after every appointment to keep you on top of things. Because this was, pardon my French, a total crap show when I first started. I was behind in my bookkeeping. I was behind in my invoices. I lost an escrow client because I was so disorganized that I would not send her an invoice for days. And they're trying to close transactions, and they have to have an invoice in order to close those transactions. So she just wouldn't work for me. It was a complete mess. So when I started doing the same thing after every appointment, which was updating my bookkeeping, sending the invoice, if I had to upload identification or documents or whatever it was, I would do it. And then I started tying in relationship cultivation, like sending out the handwritten cards, whatever you decide to do. And then I started tying in non-related things, like I'll send a text message to a friend that I lost touch with, or send a text message to an escrow officer that I lost touch with after every single appointment. It can be just 3 to 5 things that you do every single time to keep you on top of it. And once you do that, you move into your long-term connection strategy. And this is where you just stay in touch with people. It's super easy, but we way overcomplicate it. Send an email, send a text message. It can be super simple that just says, hey, been thinking about you, got time to catch up. That can be a telephone call, just a text conversation, a happy hour, a hike, a walk, whatever it could be, just to stay engaged and keep yourself on top of mind with people. And finally, the whole reason that we're all here is expanding your knowledge and your network. If you commit to going to 5 peer networking groups every single year, You'll start to cultivate relationships that will save your hide, because it's tough in this business and nobody else gets this. Nobody understands the notary business like your fellow notaries. So build these relationships, because those can become referral partners as well. Plus, you're expanding your knowledge, gaining expertise, so you can go back to masterfully delivering your services. And then the other super important part of this expansion of your knowledge and your network is to attend 5 client-getting events every single year. This will change your life. In fact, you could probably just do this if you picked 5 of the right events. Let's say it was your ideal customer is estate planning attorneys. If you went to 5 events where estate planning attorneys were sitting in the audience, doing the activities, learning along with you, you would probably have more customers than you would know what to do with. Put that on your list. They're everywhere. These attorneys like to party. So these conventions and conferences, they're the excuse to party. They're everywhere. Every major city, every state has some kind, and even the little subspecialties within estate planning has these special events to do. And that's how you smile.
I love it. I saw everybody taking copious notes. So I think that framework definitely makes a huge difference in your everyday business. And I want to pivot for just a moment. And I want to talk about technology, because we do have Nick Coville, who's coming on with us in about a half an hour to talk about the Notary e-Journal. Laura, what specific technological tools or innovations do you believe are crucial for notaries in today's digital age?
Well, I went from the paper journal to the electronic journal, which means I went from ink to a thumbprinting device. The response, my client's response to this is off the chart. Coolness factor way up there. They are like, wow, what took so long? Is everybody doing this? It helped them see me a little differently than the old-fashioned notary with the big old journal book. The other thing is, and of course, some of these things we already did because maybe we were doing loan signings. So having a scanner on your phone so that if you had to scan a certificate or a signature page back to the attorney, you could do that, right? I personally don't print trusts. They're provided to me and I take them, or they're already at the client's home. But that's a bonus service that I could provide should I choose to do so and make use and leverage of some of that equipment I have sitting in my house that was really, set up for loan signings itself. I'm not you. Oh, and then one other one would be, and this is brand new, guys, is Escrow Tab. I just got it set up, and that's the IPEN, in-person electronic notarization. And I see that going hand in hand with the trust work so that it can be more efficiently run. Right now, it's being used in loan signing world, but I see that coming over to our trust world as well.
Yeah.
Totally.
Bill, what about you?
Yeah.
What do you say about technology that notaries can use to enhance their services and improve their efficiency?
I think we have a huge opportunity here, and I'll look at it from the prospecting perspective, right? Like how to get attention. We've got such an old-fashioned industry, and I loved it for that, because you work, you get paid, it's an essential service, it's been wonderful. But there's a huge opportunity to stand out in a sea of sameness, because for hundreds of years, notaries have been doing the same thing, and that's usually just put up a sign and wait for somebody to contact them. So that gives us free range to really get creative about this. So here's a few that I would suggest. And a lot of these are actually available in the Tom app by Notary Coach. I don't know if you've heard of that yet, but it's free right now in 2023. Plus the pro version, we just separated it from NBB like yesterday. So it's available for the pro version as well. But regardless of using Tom, if it doesn't work for you, find some way to get creative with what they call sizzle videos, which are just videos that demonstrate what you do and the value you bring to your client relationship. Find ways to stay in touch via email through drip campaigns. And regardless of your personal feelings about email, know that every single marketer in the world uses email because it works. Check your inbox. Whether you're buying rugs, whether you're buying mosquito spray, houses, whatever it is, they send you an email about it. And they don't send it to you because it's not working. Gold is made from email. So if you can capture those emails and just stay in touch, keep yourself top of mind, deliver value. Like, you don't want to be selling people every single time, but find a way to drip out value to your email list. That database that you have of your customers is the most valuable asset your business has. And if you stay in touch with them, it will change your life. The other cool idea that we really haven't even taken advantage of, but we built the tools for you, and Tom, is surveys. People love to share their opinions and their perspectives. If you create a survey to capture attention and data and contact information so you can stay in touch afterwards, you can generate leads and contacts through surveys. And the other opportunity that we have here to stand out is using video again for your confirmations or for building a relationship. We are working in an industry where people work with who they know, like, and trust. And if you send a video message or even an audio message through LinkedIn or through your text, that stands out from everyone else. And that's what we're looking for here. We want to stand out in a sea of sameness. And these little tools, some of them paid, some of them completely free, already built into your phone, can make all the difference.
Can you give an example of how technology that you've utilized, whether it's the Tom app or any of the things you discussed, how it's helped you streamline your notary business?
In particular, the video messaging and the audio messaging. And I was a late comer to that, but I cannot tell you how often I hear back, oh my gosh, I can't believe you actually sent me a video, like a video confirmation. Then they know what I look like. I can have some humor. I can have some facial expressions. That one little thing has changed everything, and just laying the foundation for a relationship before I even ring the doorbell.
Yeah, I would agree. Same on my end too. It's amazing what a simple 30-second video that you send to your customers at Book You can do. So I want to change the subject a little bit, and I want to talk about money. One of the really just mind-blowing chapters in this book is about a different way to look at paying yourself. And I want Laura to explain to us how these new strategies can, when applied to our business, can really just change everything.
I'm happy to, because ultimately it's about making sure that I'm getting paid for what I'm doing, all this effort. But not only that, but that I'm holding on to it as well. And so, I see it as like, first of all, let's start with your pricing strategy. And you need to have a pricing strategy. And that pricing strategy says I work from here to here. And if you're down here, then your job, I'm not saying it's a bad job, I'm just saying it doesn't fit my pricing model. And so I build my pricing models around my time, because that's the most valuable thing I have to offer besides my direct cost. And then, of course, any mandated fee restrictions I have in my state. So developing a pricing strategy up front, so you're not like, is that a good amount? Is that a good amount? I don't know. Should I take the job? No, you've decided this is what it takes for this job to fit my business model. The second part of that is, well, the money's coming in, how should that be allocated? And we are usually taught, if anybody's taken a bookkeeping course, or you see how QuickBooks writes reports for businesses, the expenses are paid first, right? And then your liabilities come next. And then maybe if there's anything left for you, you get the table scraps. And so I read this author who just flipped that script for me, Mike Michalowicz, and his book is called Profit First. And I pulled some incredibly valuable ways for me to get paid twice. So before I was just getting table scraps, and now I'm getting paid twice. And anybody who's doing it right is going to be able to do that. And the third part, well, let me just say the way it flipped it was I pay myself first before the expenses, right? So I pull profit first, then Laura Biewer's labor second. So that's my doing the work part of it. The first part of it was for being the owner. I'm the stockholder. I own 100% of the shares of this business. So I don't have to share that with anybody. That goes to me. And then my liabilities come after that. And then what's left are the expenses. So I need to adjust my expenses based on what's left rather than I have to adjust what I get based on what I spent. So it doesn't seem like it would come out different. It does. I promise you it does. And the last part of that helps with that is the idea of eradication of debt. Because sometimes we go into debt building this business, loans and credit cards, whatever it is to make it happen. And so now we've got to figure out how to deal with that. And that profit line is what's going to help you. So if you want to know more about how to get paid twice, love that, how that can help you eradicate debt, fantastic. And how to build a pricing strategy so that the money coming in is appropriate to the work that you're doing. That to me changes your business from eating all your money to giving you what you wanted when you decided I want to have a business. Because most people have two reasons. One reason is I want time freedom. I want to do what I want when I want. And I want to be able to say no when I want and just work when I want. And the other reason is money freedom. I want to have enough money that when I say no to business is because I'm traveling or because I'm spending time with family, right? Those are the reasons most people start a business, time and money freedom. But that's not what happens, is it? What happens is you become a slave to your business and you're living check to check, right?
Yeah.
Where you can actually write one to yourself. And it doesn't have to be that way. And that was probably one of the most exciting things I learned in this last year that just really turned it around for me personally.
Yeah, it really is a complete shift in thinking. And Laura is our mindset expert inside Notary Business Builder. By the way, she does have this Profit First framework lesson in Notary Business Builder. And the book, for anyone who's interested, is called Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. Am I saying that correct? Mike Michalowicz. Okay. So we've been taught through various sources. I mean, and not even just in the notary world, I think just with school and just living in this day and age, that you need to kind of reverse engineer how you pay your business or pay yourself, right? And when it came to loan signings, we did that with like, I need to make $100,000 a year. So I'm going to do 3 loan signings a day, 6 days a week, whatever that math is for this many days. And then that's how I'm going to get to $100,000 a year. But that sounds all great and good, right? So, but that is ingrained in us, right? That is what we really believe is, how we make money as a mobile notary. But you're talking about something really radical here. And that is paying yourself not only first, but twice. So how does that financial strategy offer notary entrepreneurs some assurances about long-term business sustainability?
Well, the thing is that the first time you pay yourself, which is for owning the business, taking the risk, making the investment, and that money ends up off of the top, ends up helping you long-term for the eradication of debt that you might have built up. It also helps you for future thoughts about how you want to have the quality of your life in terms of being able to finance that. The way it helps you project out sustainability, is that you can only spend this much because this is all that's left, right? Instead of let me spend everything I think I need to spend. Oh, oops, I don't have money. But if you need your business to pay your mortgage, you need your business to buy your groceries, you cannot be last. And if you organize that the other way, then you can clearly see, you know what, I have, $500 I can spend on expenses for my business. What do I need to spend it on? What is required? Because that's all I'm going to be spending on that. And when you do it first, you just just buy what I think I need. The problem is that you end up shorting yourself, and you end up living in entrepreneurial poverty is what happens, right? So we need to take care of us first, and put your oxygen mask on first, and then you take care of the business.
Right. Absolutely.
And it will work itself out.
Absolutely. Well, I have to ask you both, Laura and Bill, how do you guys feel about taking some questions? We only have about 15 minutes, so we are not going to be able to get to everybody because I'm sure there are lots of questions out there. I've seen a lot in the chat. Feel free to raise your hand, and we will get to your question if you have one for Bill or Laura about their book, Beyond Loan Signings, The Ultimate Guide to Monetizing Your Notary Commission Through Specialty Work, or any of the things that we've talked about here today. Does anyone have any questions for the new best-selling author, Laura Biewer, and best-selling author, Bill Soroka? Kunal, hi, welcome. You are on mute. If you could unmute, there we go. And what is your question for Bill or Laura?
Sorry, thank you. My question is less around the notary work. It's just, I'm curious, how does it feel to have your book out there?
Fantastic. Oh my God. Yeah, incredible. I do feel like I have a new child.
Bill?
It's safely delivered.
Safely delivered, yes.
If Jen was going to ask me what the pit and peak is, like Laura answered earlier, my pit and peak is the release. It's the same event. It is it's an emotional experience for me, because as Laura demonstrated, we have put 2 years of heart and soul in it. It's not just about how to sign, date, and stamp. I mean, this is a business that we both love. These are strategies we both love. This is for an audience that we absolutely love and want to see succeed. So it feels amazing to release. I love hearing that it helps. Like right away, we've heard that it's already shifted a paradigm in so many notaries' lives. So I love that. And at the same time, it's like we've spent 2 years working with that, and now it's gone, and it's got kind of a life of its own. I had the same experience with Sign and Thrive, and I almost went through this like little mini depression when I sent it out into the world. I'm happy for it. I love it. And I've got this little sense of longing. I guess I have an emotional attachment to stuff like that.
Easy to see why. Easy to see why. That was a great question, Kunal. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
Bernice Williams, what is your question for Bill and Laura?
I have a very, 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 very important question to ask you too.
Okay.
Since I wasn't able to attend the conference, when is the next opportunity that I can get it signed, my book signed? Where will you be?
What a great question, Bernie.
Awesome question.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to be flying in just for the day, and Laura's picking me up at the airport so we can go to the Notary Family's Long Beach event.
Los Alamitos.
Yeah, it's July 15th from 11 to 2. It's strictly networking. So it's just going to be lunch, hanging out. They're doing little breakout groups. So you'll get lots of one-on-one with other notaries in the LA area. So that is your backyard, Bernice. So I'm hoping that you'll be there.
I will be there.
So jealous I won't be. But I am, yes, bring your books and get them signed while you're there. You said that's July 15th, right?
Yeah, and really, and I want to talk to Andy and Jeff and Maria who are organizing it, but we're not going to be selling our books there. So, but we'll absolutely sign our books there. If you're in the area, if you want to pick up your book in advance, please, we'd love to see you down there.
That's fantastic. Great question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bernice, finally.
Hi, Amy. How are you?
Very insightful, although I have to say, and I love that I've listened to the chat twice. I got definitely a lot out of it listening to it twice. My question is kind of looking at that SMILE acronym. The section that I think I am definitely lacking is changing that transactional approach. So are we allowed to contact our previous customers that we have emails for or business cards or whatever without it being like a spam? Like, are we allowed to contact them through email?
Yeah, what a great question. I love that you're even thinking about that and respecting it. So the short answer is yes, absolutely. Then the rest of the answer is you always want to be sensitive of the other relationships that are involved with that. You want to be in integrity with your even previous agreements. So in speaking to signers specifically, if you worked with a signing company or a bank that said, please never contact our customers, then you wouldn't contact them, right? Okay. But if you had a connection, and most of us, especially in this group, you probably connect with a lot of your signers, right? And there's almost this friendship feel where it's like it'd be cool to hang out with them or to at least stay in touch. So there's a little bit of an expectation there. So yes, it would be absolutely okay to do that. I think for me, there was a cutoff, right? It would be awkward if I started texting people from 6 years ago and said, hey, remember me? I'm Bill, your notary, and I'm here and I want to be your friend. You know, that would be weird. But 6 weeks, 3 months ago, you can frame it like I'm just checking in. Hey, it was so great to meet you. This is Amy, your notary from your refinance transaction, just checking in to make sure everything's okay. How's that kitchen coming along? Or how's the new pool? Or how's the new house? You can absolutely do things like that.
Okay, awesome.
If they don't want to be contacted, they will ignore you. You know, so it's no big deal. And then if you're going to use an email campaign to do that, you want to use an opt-in. You want to stay in integrity with the international laws around that. So they'll have to opt in, and every single email will have an unsubscribe button.
Perfect.
You don't want to sell the entire time. You just want to check in and cultivate the relationship.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I do contact them after just to make sure that everything went through, but I don't after that. Like I ask them for, a review, and I don't after that. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's great. And I love that you're even asking for the review. And I want to kind of elaborate a little bit more on this because this is a struggle for everybody. They're like, what do I say when I reach out? I think one of the easiest ways to stay in touch is to write a blog. Write a blog that doesn't speak to other notaries. So, because unless you're a notary coach or helping other notaries, you shouldn't be talking to other notaries. That's not a generating or a revenue generating activity for you. So, but you can post about maybe you're got your certification or ordained as a wedding officiant. You can write a little blog about that and send that out. That's a way to stay in touch that delivers value because you're talking about things that you can help them with. Or maybe like I'm a huge advocate of talking about real ID law changes in your state. Those are different for every state and they keep extending it. So it keeps giving you something to talk about. You can set a Google News alert and pick the topics you want to talk about. Maybe it's notary law, maybe it's estate planning law, whatever it could be. You can set those notifications so that gives you something to talk about and to share. Just once a month, just a little blurb that you're sending out to keep you top of mind.
Excellent tips. And that was a great question, Amy. Thank you for asking that. And we have another question from iPhone 331. What is your name and what is your question for Bill and Laura?
I believe that's me, Virginia Johnson. I just have one question. if for those of us who are either fairly new to this or wanting to branch out without a lot of money or time, what would be, taking loan signings out of the equation, what would be the one thing that you would advise us to start with? Whether it's a type of notarization or how to start our business, i.e. website, etc.
Well, I'd say if you don't have a Google My Business profile, that's like critical. If you don't have that, it's critical. It's free. So it doesn't take a lot of financial resource to get that done. And to make it optimized, then you would invest in some training beyond that. But that, that's the tool of the day.
Okay.
Sure. Bill?
I would 100% agree. So nothing else matters if you don't have any customers, right? All you have here is a hobby and an energy suck if you don't have customers. So Google Business Profile is going to get you those customers. I'll add to that and say that there are tons of free directories, and including LinkedIn. I like to consider LinkedIn the master directory, right? Like you can optimize your LinkedIn profile, use that data that you use to optimize that, and build out all your other notary directory profiles. Many of them have free versions. All of those are going to help you get found online. So your online visibility is extremely important for that. But as you're doing that, you choose your niche, because your keywords for your ideal customers are important when you're building your online visibility. So the first part of your question, which I loved, is which direction you would go if you weren't doing loan signings, and it would be absolute trust delivery. Living trust presentations are a bundled package. They pay comparable to loan signings because you're doing other things. You're briefly describing the documents. Plus, it has that positive energy around it. They pay usually, depending on your relationships, somewhere between $125 and $300 per appointment, depending on the situation. So that's where I would absolutely tell you to go. And then once you have clarity on your ideal customer, you build all of those keywords into your profiles and your Google Business Profile. And that's what you talk about when you do your updates on Google Business Profile. So you gain more traction.
Thank you.
I hope that answered your question, Virginia. Thank you. It was a great.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Thank you so much for asking it. Did you have something else you wanted to add, Laura?
I just wanted to add and sign up for that download of the free chapter on trust. We'll give it to you to tell you what to do and what you need to know.
Matt just put that in the chat too.
He did.
Thank you. Thank
you.
Guys,
this has been an amazing interview, and we're going to just wrap it up, because in just a few minutes, we are going to have a little screenside chat with Mr. Nick Kogel, the creator of the Notary e-journal. And I hate to admit, but I think I'm probably the last notary on the planet to have signed up for that. I just signed up today for the Notary e-journal. It was on my accountability list from last Tuesday on our NBB accountability call. But before we go, I just want to say thank you so much. And I shouldn't say go. We're not going anywhere. We're going to stay on this link. So hang out with us. But thank you so much to Bill Soroka and Laura Biewer for being so upfront and so honest with us in your answers. That's what I love about you guys the most. And I have to give some mad props to Matt Miller with California League of Independent Notaries. Matt, thank you so much for monitoring the chat, letting people in the room, posting things, links and things from the chat. It made all the difference. So I really appreciate you doing that for us.
Jen, speaking of which, do you mind if,
go ahead.
Got the thing. No, I'm so sorry. I just want to really highlight Matt and the California League of Notary.
Yes.
California League of Independent Notaries, not only for his help here, but we're super excited as well, because based on so much of your feedback, we have also just been able to offer a new Independence Day promotion, which starts now because NBB is declaring its independence from Tom. And we've already started the promotion, and there's a huge part of that. You get a free basic membership to the California League of Independent Notaries. And we were just talking about directories. they've got a powerful directory that you want to be a part of. So if you join NBB, it's no longer $127 a month. It is only $58 a month. It doesn't include Pro Tom anymore, but you still get the free version of Tom. You still get all of the other great 11 courses, 20 live teaching calls, a year membership to Clin. You get a subscription to Notary Assist bookkeeping, all for $58 a month. We're on a mission to help you serve as many customers as you dream of this year and grow your business unreliant on mortgage interest rates. And this is one of the ways that we can do that. So if you're interested in that, go to joinnbb.com. And Matt, thank you so much for your generosity and your help in making that possible.
Yes, thank you. And thank you guys for hanging out with us for a little longer today than normal on a Tuesday. Thank you for being a part of this very special episode of Tuesday Notary Titans. We're going to take just a quick little break. And maybe, how long do you think? A minute? 2 minutes?
Yeah, it's probably going to be, well, 3 minutes. It's 1:27 right now. We'll let Nick get ready. Laura and I will take a breather, take a breath.
Take a breath, you guys. Yes, you need to go. Yes, get some water, get your tea. We have some more awesome coming up in just 3 minutes. So hang out, put your video screensaver on, and we'll see you back here in just a few minutes. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Jen, for hosting.
You're welcome.